just going to give you another rundown of just how I started and just how I've been training the last 2 weeks up in Yuba City, California. Reno has been training with Carl Fredericks, Ken Shamrock, all these other guys, but going to California and seeing a lot of NorCal talent that has got me excited because they're just as excited as me to start back up. Everybody's restarting. The East Coast is they're kind of in a restart, the Northeast, but the Southeast, is Florida, Georgia. Obviously, they've been going, but here in the West Coast, especially California, they're ready to start in probably like 2 or 3 months. So, what's it like in Scotland?
So just everything's still shut down. It's we're kind of in a wave of COVID just now, so everybody's kind of just off work and stuff like that, which is a pain. But what I'll do is I'm going to introduce the people. So the recording started. So this is Non-Stop Wrestling Chat. My name's Barry. This is our first podcast. It's called the NWC Show. This is Neil the Thrill Harper. And if you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself, and we'll just get into the podcast.
What's up, y'all? I'm Neil the Thrill Harper. Been born and raised in LaGrange, Georgia. I've traveled up and down all around the states. I've been cross-country 3 times. Right now I'm living in Reno, Nevada. I've been training in Reno, Nevada for 2 years. I'm in Yuba City, California right now out of PCW. I've wrestled for APW. I've wrestled for Hood Slam. I've done things for Northeast Wrestling. I've worked security and a lot of the top independent promotions, and I'm just now getting on my feet. Before the shutdown, I had about 14, 15 matches, and my last 3 were singles. And to tell you what, man, it was awesome to start getting out there, getting in battle royals, getting in 6-mans, getting in triple threats, and learning the craft. And I'm chomping at the bit for this all to get back to normal and wrestling to flourish.
Yeah, man, I can only imagine, like, I run a business and stuff like that as well, and I'm just currently sitting, like, let's just get back to normal. I can't wait to start. So the first question that we've got, that we're going to ask everybody that we get on this podcast is, what got you into wrestling as a fan, as a wrestler? What do you just love about wrestling? What got you into it?
So wrestling, a lot of people liked it when they were a kid. I remember my brothers, they were watching it when I was a little kid. But what really got me into wrestling was the Stone Cold Homecoming, Raw's first time going back to USA. I remember seeing it as a kid on AM Raw on a Saturday morning. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was I was getting out of Nickelodeon. I was starting to get into sports. I was big into acting. And when you see something like Stone Cold Stunner, all the McMahons, you want to tune in next week to see what did I just watch.
Yeah, definitely. When I remember walking by a TV. It had like a Raw or a VHS or something when I was 5, and I just turned around, watched it, and I've just watched wrestling every day since then. I trained for wrestling. I had a match or 2 here and there, but it's just something that I watch every day. I take part in. I read about it. I just love it.
Yeah, it's a bug that you can't really get out because it's art, and that's awesome that you've been to training. That's awesome that you've had a match. I hope that are you still keeping up with it, or what's going on? What's going on there? You didn't get injured, right?
Yeah, man, I broke my neck. So when I was younger, I started wrestling training when I was like 12, and I went up till when I was 16. I had like my first match. Then I had a couple from my friend's company. I went to Holland to train for a little bit with him, with this Japanese guy who was just used to beat the shit out of people. And then I had an injury. I just broke my neck. It was totally my fault, but I broke my neck, and I was just left it. I couldn't just do it anymore because my neck was like ruined for a while. And then I started doing like MMA, and I've just I enjoy the back office side more. I'm more of the business person now since I'm older.
No, and that's so cool to look at that side and look at it like that. But did you do any amateur before you were doing it as a 16-year-old?
No, so I used to do amateur like Olympic wrestling for a bit. Then I done like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, karate, Muay Thai, MMA. Then I went to go do professional wrestling because it just caught my eye, and then I got an injury, so I just decided to focus on one because I was like, MMA is a little bit less hard on the body when you're getting slammed about.
Yeah, it's definitely more or less on the body. It's more of a shoot. I mean, watching these guys at Reno Combat Fitness, having people like Ken Shamrock come in there and show you a heel lock, show you a head kick. It's cool to see that style and see that side of
Yeah,
it. But I did amateur for 1 year, and it was eighth grade, and I did pretty well. I went to the county classic, I went to regionals, and I broke my ankle at regionals, broke my growth plate. So that's when I stopped. I did strictly football in high school. Had to do just kind of locked down. And that's why I'm glad I still got, good health. I kind of prolonged it. I took my first bump in 2013, and I've done real well with my body since then when it comes to keeping yourself kind of less shell shock. But the amateur wrestling helped a ton because there was one match that I had, and this guy was. There was a couple matches where I did well against like some defending state champs and all that, and I got some underdog victories. I did pretty well. I only had like 3 or 4 losses, but one was a county classic, and it was a crosstown rival. And when you're wrestling heavyweight and 189, you're probably wrestling people twice your size most of the
yeah,
time. And this guy was also twice my size, probably 6, 8 inches above me, and he was undefeated. And I knew that he was going to go for the headlock takeover because I've been watching him. It's eighth grade, and he tries to go for the headlock takeover in about 20, 30 seconds. I pick his elbow off, hit him with a German, pin him down 20. I think it was 27 seconds. Pinned him. I got up. The whole crowd was going nuts because it was like all the schools were there all at once from my small town, and I took my singlet off, kind of like Kurt Angle, and then
yeah.
I looked over to the other side, and I saw his mom almost on the mat, and she was booing, and the whole crowd was booing. So I just gave them the X-Pac, not the Shawn Michaels. I gave them the X-Pac, just straight to the dome, crop top, and I still get talked about that like around bars and stuff when I go back home. They're like, "Yeah, do you remember that when you gave it?" When I was in high school, you'd have teachers come up to you. Did you really, tell the whole crowd to suck it? But that was a cool feeling that day, and that was a day that you kind of knew what you wanted to be.
Yeah, definitely, man. For me, it was I just loved the business completely. I wanted to move away from like the shoot wrestling, so like martial arts was just getting. I was like, oh, I want to do something. I've always loved wrestling. I didn't want to actually go fight for a living. And I was like, I know what, I'll go do some wrestling training. I really enjoyed it, got into it. Then I said I went to Holland and stuff like that. Then I broke my neck, so I had to take time away from it. But it's the business side that really gets me now, like finding out how to write a story, how to book a match, book a show, look at like agents, how you hire talent. That kind of stuff just really intrigues me. So I'm learning that just now from some friends that I know that are still in the business. So I'm just trying to get back into it some way.
Well, man, I hope this is awesome what you're doing, and I hope the best for you. I hope you're stretching that neck out. I hope everything's good, and hey, everything's all well over here. I'm awesome that things are picking back up. It's training, California, over here in Yuba City. It's north of Sacramento. They got some good guys. I'm getting trained right now by Zach Reeb, Brandon Humphreys. They got a lot of guys in there. They're making me feel really welcomed. Reno, Nevada. You see Norcross, Georgia. You got Knoxville, Tennessee. You got the Pritchards. You got Dustin Rhodes just opened his school up in Austin, Texas. I know Chase Del Monte just took over at New England Pro Wrestling Academy. You got a lot of big stuff that's happening in the U.S., and I think 2021 is going to be a big year for Neil the Thrill.
Yeah, definitely, man. I've been watching the matches you sent over, which we're going to set for everybody listening to this. They'll be shared on the day after the podcast is up on our Twitter. They're really cool, man. You've like there's tons of potential there. Like we're looking at you, you know how to move around the ring. You've got the attitude there. It was pretty cool watching them. I really enjoyed it. I like the 6-man tag one, probably the best.
Well, and I wish I had footage of my Hood Slam stuff because I did so many matches in Oakland last year, in Fresno last year, and to have many entrances, to have many in those tag matches, I kind of just walked out with the Misfits because I was wrestling with some guys in Reno. But when you go to other places and they put you in hats, you walk down different ramps, you have different introductions, you have different music, you have different commentators bring you out, you have it's such a mind blowing deal, and you kind of that's where editing, that's where you want to save stuff, but still just knowing what you're doing, and oh man, to feel the pop, it's just it's a different feeling, man. You can't really bottle that up unless you're wrestling every night.
Yeah, definitely. And also the question that we're going to be asking as well is, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? So, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
See, I hope just to be wrestling more matches. With what happened in 2020, all this shutdown, I hope it canceled everybody that, with me being a rookie, me being green, me just trying to scratch to have 100 matches. Uh, it showed everyone that this could all stop. Time can be of the essence, and when you have people that want to be a performer, that want to be out there, and that are trying to drive everywhere just to get an opportunity, just to get a chance. Uh, they know now that, hey, this stuff is for granted. So, and you see wrestling is picking up. It's not like the 70s and 80s. Now you got plenty of schools out there. You got plenty of ways and plenty of connections to get into professional wrestling. So, I hope with all the promoters, I hope with all the bookers, I hope with all the shows, they realize they just, you know, it's time now to get it in gear. And if they want wrestlers, if they want talent, they need. I'm chomping at the bit to get out there. There's not another chance to shut down. There's not another chance to start over for me. I want to get out there, and these kids today, 19, 20 years old, they don't know how lucky they have it with everybody shutting down and stuff like that. Me being just now 26, I see that the the shape the COVID shutdown. I don't want anyone to have beef. I don't want anyone to have any hostility. We need to have wrestlers on shows. We need to have people out there, and let them do their thing. And I was just gaining a little bit of respect in the Bay Area, and everything shut down. And would it be possible to move east? I had a chance last year to go to Knoxville, Tennessee, but you wanted to. I wanted to do the mature decision and stay training and stay ready. And with how it's looking, man, I'm excited for 2021.
Yeah, man, I think 2021 for the wrestling industry is going to be insane because everybody's just waiting. Like you were saying, everybody's just waiting to be the next big thing. Everybody's going to have something to prove because I've missed that a whole year nearly. They're just waiting to be like.
I'm hearing news about Sacramento. I'm hearing news about Oregon. I'm hearing news about Washington State, and none of them are wrestling right now. There's been nothing on the ground whatsoever. Just like how I was mentioning with the guy in the UK 2 weeks ago, how everything is kind of just calm before the storm, and you see that there's a new wave approaching. So it's kind of it's exciting because they have to have somebody now to kind of run the torch. And all these wrestlers that have been training during the Corona shutdown, they don't have really any crowd experience. They don't have any. Hey, I've been out there and wrestling and stuff. I was fortunate enough to. Hey, I was on the circuit for all of 2019 basically, and I got just a little Not to mention, I've been in top shows around, and rubbed elbows with Ricky Steamboat, the Hardy Boys, uh, Booker T, and Jerry Lawler. I've seen some of the best wrestle, but to actually be wrestling, to put on your gear, to be rubbing elbows with people that's won major tournaments, to meet Shibata in Vegas, and just have them walk around with you till about 5 in the morning, just gaining knowledge from them. Little things like that, just little inquiries. I can remember what is it? Just meeting the boogeyman one night in Connecticut. I remember shooting the shit with all the Ring of Honor boys more than once. Like doing things like that won't get you a cup of coffee at the Chevron, but it's got me so knowledgeable about the game that I train every weekend. I train almost every day here in Reno, And now that I'm actually doing loops again, I'm going out. I'm going to Northern California. I want to go to Arizona. I want to go to Hollywood. And they did their last broadcast about a couple months ago because they had to stop once again. California is very strict. It's one of the strictest states in the United States. But when you see that they're going to need new talent, oh, I feel so lucky to know, hey, I was just now getting singles matches. I was getting the rub. I was doing, it was, oh man, when you have the crowd chanting for you and you're going to the back of the curtain and you have the respect of the boys and they're trying to critique you in any way, that is nothing but a compliment.
Yeah, man, it's going to be insane with like like we were saying when 2021 gets going after obviously the COVID shutdown stuff. I'm so excited to see like the future of everything, entertainment, wrestling, sports, because everybody knows like there's a possibility a pandemic could come back. So how are they going to change it, and how long before another one happens? So everything's going to be condensed, and it's just going to be people just shooting for the moon straight away. They'll be like, we're just going to go for what we can get in a year, 2, 3 years, because we might end up back inside for another year or two.
Well, and they think that the game's going to change now because it's convenience over experience, and that may be, but I hear these radical terms like wrestling's not going to have another household name. Wrestling's wrestling's subjective, but we've seen it time and time again. History repeats itself. History cycles. I feel like with how wrestling is on every night now, with how wrestling is bigger than it's ever been when it comes to streaming, Twitch. I wrestled on Twitch a few times last year, and now when you look at wrestling, almost every wrestling promotion is off of high spots, and everybody's on Twitch nowadays. It's man, it's just going to be insane when the circuit opens back up and you're actually out there in England, you're actually out there in Scotland, you're actually out there in China, Japan, Mexico, Canada, and all this stuff now is just streaming. And they think there's not going to be a household name because it's such a mecca. I highly doubt that, man. It cycles. Wait for the guy that goes around all those territories. Wait for the guy that breaks. There's always going to be a beacon. There's always going to be somebody that breaks down the barrier, and I'm ready to get back wrestling on Twitch. I'm ready to get back wrestling in front of people, to be honest.
I think just now with wrestling as well, man, we're like just waiting for the next big name. Like they're not there just yet. Somebody is coming up, but like you said, wrestling's a cycle. We literally have lived through this before as well. Like after WCW got bought up and stuff like that, everybody was like, "There'll never be another big star. Wrestling won't come back." Then John Cena, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, like all those guys, Batista just came at the same time. We're just in that
as a wrestling fan, are we not amazed right now with the Infinity War that's going on right now? Did we ever think that we'd see TNA and Impact doing business with another wrestling? So right now I still feel like a kid when I watch wrestling, and that's the beauty, right? That's why we're doing stuff like this, is because for a few minutes we're getting out of the real world. When I was a performer, when I was a wrestler, when I'd hit the curtain for a few minutes, you'd have the crowd, you'd have the world in the palm of your hands. You'd have them all they're paying their money to be amazed, to have a show, and you're actually going to bat for them. They're relying on you, and you're coming through for them. That is what made me feel like a superhero, and to have that taken away from you, yeah, I'm not gonna take it for granted the next time it comes around.
Yeah, man, like anything like martial arts or anything, it gives you that when you yourself when you've done amateur wrestling, even those like 5 minutes you're doing it, it takes you away from the problems you've got outside. You're just there, you've got a job to do, you do it, people are watching, they're cheering for you. There's no other feeling like it. I remember having a few matches, I walked out the curtain, people are cheering. I was there with my best friend and I was like, this is insane, like this is just all my troubles from the outside were gone. It was just me in a ring, jumping around.
It's weird how it works. When I remember looking down and feeling the curtain on my first match, and I was maybe entrant number 21, 22 out of a battle royal. It was the Blackjack bedlam. And when you hear the times start and around 7, 6, 5, it was like time was slowly turning down and was slowly stopping, and you got back into that game mode, game like kind of phase, and it was just okay. You know, there's no more real person, civilian, anything like that. You are Neil the Thrill, and you hit that curtain and hit that run, and it was oh man, it's a special feeling through the veins.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like an extreme focus, like is the way I would normally describe it. Like with even like martial arts or anything, what you do, the minute you step in that rope, it's just extreme focus, and there's nothing outside that. Like it's just you, the person you're against, and you're just making it happen. Nothing matters. You don't care about your bills, girlfriend problems, whatever. Nothing matters. It's just used to just having a good time. Like even for martial arts, especially getting punched in the
Well,
face might not be a good time, but wrestling, you get to go
hey
out
man,
there.
I took a forearm last weekend and I got hit right here, and I still feel it right here. You know how that works. And getting clotheslined in corners, you'll wake up having a black eye. You wondered how the hell did that happen? Is wrestling is if you in professional wrestling, if you can't take a smack to the face, if you can't take a slap to the bicep or something like that, then you're in the wrong business. You know, slams, all this stuff, it definitely hurts. You're definitely going to get smoked and tuned up around at some times. But it's also, it's less than 40% about the moves. It's all theater. If you're actually I've gone through so many schools, I've gone through so many people, and when I was in 2013 and I got to be Dalton Castle's little peacock slave, that was the first time that I hit the curtain, and I was a valet, and I realized that, man, there was a lot of people that could have been in that position. I was a kid. I was barely taking bumps at that time, and to know that I was getting that, hey, there's a lot of people that would, want that, but I got the time to put on the mask and go out there and realize what it was like to be in front of 300, 400 people, hit the ring, feel the, what is it? I'd like to say testosterone, but it's more of just a feel the 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 vibe of the wrestlers, feel the vibe of the crowd. When you're in that ring, it makes you feel more of a person, more of a man, when you play football, when you play basketball, when you play baseball, but then when you get in something like wrestling, and you have to take care of this person, you have to take care of yourself, you have to put on a show. We have to oh man, we have to follow a certain cue. We're on a mat, and it takes a professional to oh I'm so excited, man. It's early in the morning for me, and I'm excited. To it gets me butterflies knowing that it's like a mountain, and you skyrocket, and you start getting in matches, and they start seeing how good you are, and you get, how long have you been in the business, and you keep working, and you go into different locker rooms, and they're like, hey, this kid's onto something. He's starting to, and oh man, it's
One of my first matches.
I'm so excited for things.
One of my first matches I had, it was me and my friend were out in the ring, so it was kind of like a battle royal kind of Royal Rumble thing.
Yeah.
We were out in the ring. My friend was like 6'9". He was from like Africa. He was from
Yeah.
Africa, but born in Russia. So he was like six
Oh,
nine, and he was just
oh,
like
yeah.
jacked. Like he worked out every day. He was on juice and stuff like that. He was just insanely huge, and I was like this little Scottish guy, and I was like, we went out, and the guy, so he done something to the guy we were in the ring with. I think he hit him hard. I can't remember what he done, and the guy just seen me, clotheslined me as hard as he could, and I just went flitting right out the ring. And I remember just being in the ring, the guy hitting me, and then I was out like standing on the floor, and I was like, how did
But
this happen?
you got your feet wet, and you kind of learned. You learned. A lot of people in the ring was probably like, he just learned to clothesline over the top. But what you took was way more than that later that night. You learned a whole lot just being in the ring for that little time. That, hey, I got clotheslined over the top rope in my first battle royal. I was in it for a long time. I did a lot of cool stuff. And when I came in, you did the flurry comeback when you go in a battle royal, and then I got cut off by David Luster one half of the Reno Scum there of Impact Wrestling. He throws me in a
Mhm.
corner and starts firing me up with shots. And then you're in the ring there for a minute. You're trying not to get thrown out. I was in it for a good bit. But then his name was Paul Isadora. He was a tall 7 foot, and he tries to play like a Polish gimmick. And he's bald headed. He was a center for the Nevada basketball team, like in the late '90s. So he's super tall. He just had it was me and another wrestler right beside me on the ropes, and we just slowly come back up, and he runs over at us and gives us the double clothesline, and I'm glad I got clotheslined by him because he was 6'7", 6'8". When it's your first time going over the top rope at a show, yeah, you're a little nervous, but when somebody like that clotheslines you, I barely had to post. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just like when I said I got hit.
I'm out.
So the guy was raging, was just so angry, and then he just hit me as hard as he could. I just now that way when somebody hits you hard, your brain just like it's like somebody just switches it off for a wee bit and then brings it back in. And I was outside, just stood there, and I was like, how did I manage to just stand out here? That's just insane. But the other question that we like to ask is, who's your favourite wrestler of all time? Like, if you could pick one guy to be like, this is a guy that I love of all time, who would it be? Or women?
You know, Edge, Edge, and AJ Styles are 1A, 1B.
Uh-huh.
But old wrestler, I'm gonna have to go The Rock, man. I was a Rock guy when I was a little kid. Yeah, you'd like to watch a lot of Jeff Hardy stuff. Yeah, you'd like to watch a lot of Stone Cold stuff. But what really had me on YouTube for 3 or 4 hours was people that wrestled The Rock. Was
Yeah.
watching old Rock matches that he would wrestle wise, and I had Charter on Demand, so I'd watch the Gene Okerlund break down to me Monday Night Raw, Monday Night Nitro. I learned a lot about DDP and Randy Savage. I learned a lot about Ahmed Johnson and the Chicago Street Fight. About the '90s, and I was trying to learn my history. Yeah, I have respect for Eddie Guerrero, Bret Hart. The technical wrestlers, the SmackDown Six, all those guys. But when you start to really watch these people, man, it's Adam Cole, Matt Hardy, it's Matt Taven, it's guys that actually wrestle and are trying to keep this business up, and the ones that are gaining titles, because that's what if you're in this business to make money, if you're in this business to be famous, if you're in this business to try to be Instagram famous or like get likes and pictures, I don't think you're really like gonna succeed or make a lot of money or get what you want. What I'm trying to do is just put on a show, make the kid happy, make whoever is in the crowd, why they came to the show, and win titles. I want to go around. I want to win championships. I want to win all these titles that are on Wikipedia, that are on PWI, that are all around the independent scene. Oh man, that's what I want.
And the other question is, what is your favourite event? So, like, your favourite, you've watched a pay-per-view and you've just been like, that's why I'm a wrestling fan. That's just...
Favorite wrestling event. My first wrestling show I ever bought was One Night Stand 2006. You're probably not going to have a lot of people say that. Their first wrestling pay-per-view was ECW One Night Stand 2006. But we had a bunch of friends over at my buddy Brad McClung's house, and we watched Wrestlemania 23. We watched John Cena versus Shawn Michaels. We watched Mr. Kennedy win Money in the Bank. You remember that one in Detroit? And I actually got to meet Mr. Kennedy not too long once I started training. And it was pretty cool to talk to him about the Money in the Bank and how he couldn't see past the first 3 rows, past the first 4 rows, how it was just so amazing. Just he couldn't realize where he was at wrestling. It was like a dream, and I can kind of relate to what he means by saying that. And WrestleMania 23 is up there, but favorite wrestling event. I'm gonna have to go WrestleMania 23, either that or 24. But WrestleMania 23 from top to bottom, uh, I could still remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I think the WrestleManias when they had Money in the Bank in it were great, and you say ECW, the One Night Stand, 2005 and six are some of my favourite ones as well. Like I love watching them. Just I remember being a kid and just marking out about this ECW thing because like I was too young to watch the original ECW.
Oh
So that
man, and when you go back and do your history, and when you're on YouTube as a kid watching Mick Foley and Paul Heyman and just the whole ordeal, and when when you're learning about it, it was I wish it was a class in middle school and high school because there was a lot of knowledge for me to learn, and it was awesome to go back and wrestling isn't like what it used to be in the 70s and 80s and 90s because now of technology and social media. But I think once it adapts and like it hasn't already, oh man, it's already taken over. We're evolving as people. You see boxing, MMA, yeah, how everything's just at a peak. We like to see a show. We like to see pizzazz, finesse, and it's wrestling is all of that.
yeah, man, wrestling's thousands of years old and it always adapts to everything, so it's never going to like disappear. It has ups and downs. When people are always like the wrestling industry's dead, it's like well, they said that in the 90s, they said it in the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 50s. It continuously grows and changes, which is the best thing about loving wrestling is it changes. You could be sitting watching it, nobody's really caring, people are slagging it. The next week, everybody's watching it just because somebody says one thing. It's insane to see how quick it can change. And before we end the podcast, is there anything for somebody who wants to like get into wrestling or somebody who wants to like get back into it, maybe they're in their 30s or whatever, there's somebody who wants to start wrestling training, what would you kind of recommend them to do? Would you just say go to a school and just put the hard work
I,
in?
I see people in their 30s start wrestling almost every day. At all these places I go, I see the people in their 30s, 20s. Uh, get out there, travel. If you don't travel, you only see a page. Uh, keep your body healthy. Listen, be coachable. Uh, respect doesn't cost one thin dime. It goes a long way, and just be ready to fight.
Right, man, so what we'll do is I'll end the podcast here, but if you stay on the line, we'll end things after it, okay?
Cool.
Sorry, man, just taking a little bit of time.
Yeah, no, you're good, man.
While we're still recording about the younger guys like getting into the business, what would you say to them? Like, what kind of tips would you have to the younger guys?
Loosen up, lighten up. It's all a work. You got to learn how to, people like Ken Shamrock, people like old guys, people that are gonna put you over. They're gonna pop you on the mouth. They're gonna see if you're tough or not. But you got to realize you got to take care of the person in the ring. Don't hit the ropes as hard as you want to. I mean, do that when you're doing blow up drills. Do that when you're trying to get yourself gassed. But when you're in a match, when you're trying to wrestle somebody, you have to really slow down. You have to really learn what you're doing and be ready. Just